All right, I've started recording, and let me make sure you still, do you all still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me go into presentation mode. All right, well, thanks everybody. This is the Confoe webinar on Smartsheet and why you need it. This session is being recorded. I'm Mike Fritsch with Confoe. You can see a little bit about me there. Been working in industry for many, many years. At Confoe, we started using Smartsheet back in 2008. We've been partners with them since about 2016. We started using it for ourselves, and then we started using it for our clients, we've had such great success that we decided to partner with Smartsheet. What we're going to talk about today is I'm going to tell you what Smartsheet is and what types of problems it solves. I'll do a walkthrough of a Confoe Smartsheet solution so you can see that in action and see the features. And then we'll review how to get started. And then I'll stay on afterwards. We'll take a deeper dive and do an after session for anybody that wants to hang around. I'm going to move pretty quickly, kind of 10 minutes of tell, 10 minutes of showing, and then time for questions. So please hold your questions till the end, jot them down and we can jump back. But I want to move really quickly to respect everybody's lunch hour and their time. So what is Smartsheet? So the world's leading SaaS work management platform. So SaaS, it's cloud-based like Office 365. Work management means you're going to manage work in it. And it's really for managing work and collaborating. And I love this picture of this Superman looking guy, because it reminds me of the old, the cartoons and the comic books. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. Well, when I look at it, I see it's Excel, it's project, it's more, it's Smartsheet. And I'll tell you why I think that's important. So let me move on to the next. This is a little bit about Confoe. We were founded in 2002. We do consulting, project management, and technology implementations. You can see our customer base there. A couple of our technology solutions. The first is Clearview, which is used for reducing cost, time, and risk to start up factories or to install the capital equipment that goes into that factory. But more relevant to today's webinar are our smart solutions, and that's where we do targeted optimization and automation to get rapid results. We do that on top of the Smartsheet platform. And so that's why we're intimately familiar with Smartsheet, and I'm really personally excited about it. Smartsheet, if you don't know the company, it was founded in 2006, really has come to prominence in about 2015, 2016, started winning some awards. You can see those on the right. It's in use at over half of the Fortune 500, and you can see some of the brand names that are using it. It's in 190 plus countries and has over 10 million users. So it's not a unknown player out there. It's pretty well established. When we look at how work gets done today, this comes from a Gartner study, but about 40% of work is structured and fixed. So it's clearly defined, it's repeatable process, and those naturally fit into a system like your ERP or your CRM or your human resources. The remaining work, about 60%, and actually in my experience of consulting, I'd probably say it's more than 60%, but nevertheless, that remaining 60% is work that traditionally has been managed using email, documents, and spreadsheets, and I'd add into that as well, probably a ton of meetings, and you can see kind of the examples listed there. But what that means is that there's a big impact to the productivity of yourself and your workers in your department or your company as a whole. And some interesting studies from Forrester and from McKinsey, 53% of workers say they're constantly on email. Only 18% of the day is actually spent on work, and 28 hours a week is spent on internal collaboration. So that collaboration is probably taking place with a lot of phone calls and a lot of meetings. And so, that really burns your efficiency. It really leaves a lot of untapped dollars on the table. And, in my experience in the work we've done in Confoe since 2002, When I see folks that have a particular business challenge or an effort that they want to improve, often I see them approaching that in one of four ways or multiple ways. The first is trying to force fit an existing system to make it do what you want. And that's the classic square peg, round hole situation. Probably the most common solution, and I always joke that the largest ERP system in the world is Microsoft Excel. But folks make these huge Rube Goldberg contraptions, elaborate and complex Excel sheets, and those often do get the job done, but they're not robust. And often the person that created the sheet or sheets is the only one that really knows how it works. And so that gives some jeopardy to your business. Along with that, you end up sending a lot of emails or maybe having a bunch of coordination meetings. So all things that are not that effective and things that we probably want to have less of in our lives and in our business. What we've found using Smartsheet as a platform is that we've been able to get some really good results in eliminating some of those headaches. Reducing emails, reducing manual work and forecasting, streamlining workflows, just doing things that make your life easier and make you do a better job for your customers. Typically, if you look at Smartsheet, kind of where it's used within an organization, this is how departments use Smartsheet in their work every day. A lot of application in the project management office, or if you are managing projects, think of anything where you're using Microsoft Project. Smartsheet is well suited for that as well. Project plans and schedules, project roll-ups, doing budgeting. We do a lot of things with sales with folks, whether it's managing the pipeline or doing better with revenue forecasting or sales ops. Well suited for operations of dashboards, KPIs, looking at policies and procedures. So lots of things here that you can do. If you think about any process that you're running in your department or your business, where you end up using a lot of Excel sheets, emailing things back and forth, doing a lot of reports, that's fertile ground to where Smartsheet can get you maybe some better results or get you some efficiency. And some of the things that we've done as an example are automate workflows, make live dashboards, do things around forecasting. A lot of work with legacy ERP automation. A lot of our clients have interfaces with they've either acquired other companies, and so they've got to cobble together 4 different systems, or their customers are all on different systems. And so they present you things like orders or forecast in hugely different formats. That's something that we've tackled quite often. And a lot of things with new product launches, reverse logistics, et cetera. So that's a quick and dirty dump. Let's go ahead and jump onto the solution live. Let me preview what I'm going to show you. So I'm going to walk into a live system, which is one of our demo systems. And we use this to represent a field tool request workflow. And so the scenario here is, let's say you're a service organization and you have engineers in various offices around the world or around the country, and they occasionally need specialized tools like multimeters or leveling tools or positioning tools, power sensors, that sort of thing. And so when they need it, they need to request it, and your purchasing department needs to act on it. So this is a demonstration workflow that we actually did a previous webinar on. And if you'd like to see the details on how to make a workflow that's a little more advanced, you can go to our YouTube channel and see that. But inside that instance, what I'm going to show you to start off with kind of the basic orientation is how Smartsheet has multiple views. And so you can work with it in different ways, and I'll talk about that. And then I'll walk you through some of my favorite features and what makes it more powerful than Excel standalone. So with that, let me switch over and go to the live system. And I'm going to start out with the sheet itself. So again, Smartsheet is cloud-based, so it's secure. You have to log in just like you would with Office 365, something like that. And to start off with, I'm going to show you the first view, and this is a grid view. Now this is going to look really familiar to you because it looks like Excel. And in fact, the way that you interact with it and the way it behaves is very Excel-like. I love that because it means that the ease of adoption for you and your organization is really easy, and it makes the learning curve also easy. So if you're familiar with Excel, you can jump right into Smartsheet with really no training at all, and at least get started. And you can do good basic work, and then as you work in it, you can learn the rest of stuff. So you can of course get trained and accelerate that process, but you can be effective, day one, hour one, as soon as you get a quick orientation. So this is the first view, which is sheet view. I'm going to jump back to this and show you all the features in a minute, but let's take a look at the next view. So Gantt View is like Microsoft Project. So you can see on the right, you can see the Gantt chart and the bars. You can indicate either what the task is, or you can indicate who's in charge of it, that sort of thing. You can do things like have dependencies, have tasks and subtasks, and I'll dig into that and show you in more detail in a couple of weeks in our next webinar. But just quick overview that you can do a Gantt view and work in this like you would in Microsoft Project. The next view is a card view. And so if you're someone who does agile project management, then you're familiar with, with the Kanban card view of things. We've used this with IT trouble tickets, for example. In this example here on the demo, what we've done is we're taking a card view that says, let me look at each of those field offices and see where the requests for special tools are. So, this is helpful because at a glance, I can kind of look at Austin, Albuquerque, and Chandler and see where they have them. And I might make a decision like, it looks like everybody's needing these Vibramax 5000s everywhere. Maybe let me think about that. Or if I had like 3 bird meters in one office, I might reconsider a request and say, hey, Julie, go over and borrow one from Carl, for example. So that's the card view. And then the final view is the calendar view. And as long as your sheet has at least one column that has a date in it, it can be displayed on a calendar. You would use this so you can see how projects are stacking up, or how resources are assigned and stacking up. And it's just another visual that allows you to really see things at a glance and to manage more effectively. So let's jump back to the grid view, and I'm going to go through what makes this so special. And again, this will be on our YouTube channel later today. So if you want to come back and review any of these, you can. So first off, let's talk about some of the collaboration and working together functionality that Smartsheet naturally has. So the first thing is, let's say I want to have others work on this sheet with me. It's very easy to do. I can share a sheet, and I can assign collaborators. I can invite them, and I can give them various permissions. So an administrator is somebody who can virtually do everything. You probably wouldn't use that very often, but you can give someone edit privileges, which means they can go in and manipulate the sheet, and they can either edit and share, meaning that they can share with the next person and the next person, or you can say cannot share. So it's like, hey, I want you to work on this, but I don't want you to share it with anybody. Or you can assign somebody a viewer so they can look at it, but they can't do anything to it. So kind of standard permissions that you're used to anywhere else. And you always can see who's shared at any one time. And you can come over, and if you need to change some sharing, you can eliminate them. And you'll see that that says remove from workspace. So very quickly in Smartsheet, I'm going to jump over to the workspace. You are able to organize your work so that it's easy to get to the things that you want. And so there are folders and workspaces, and you can see here with our various clients and our various pilots, they're very easy to navigate to. But we're working right here in this workspace, which is field tool request. So if I wanted to share everything in this workspace, I simply come over here and I hit share again. And what that means is that every artifact inside this workspace is automatically shared with everybody that I've assigned that permission. And so that's just a little bit of an efficiency, so that if you started a particular project with a work team, you don't have to share every single sheet that you create for that project. As long as you build it in the workspace, then those permissions follow. And if I move something out of the workspace into another, the permissions don't follow it. The permissions stay in the workspace. And so if I removed a sheet, those permissions would be broken purposely. So let's go back to the sheet itself. And let's see, we talked about permissions and we talked about shared workspaces. So to further collaborate, we can do some things with this sheet, because we can come over here and we can decide to share it. We can share it here, and this will be the same functionality as we said before. So just a different way to get to that. We can come over and we can send it as an attachment. So I can send this sheet to myself at my Gmail address. Don't spam me after this, please. I can send it as a PDF or a Microsoft Excel sheet. And so I just go there, and notice that I can schedule this. So let's say you've got a client and you've got a project sheet, and that client wants to see the status, weekly of that sheet, or maybe it's an inventory list that you want each of your warehouses to review. Rather than having to every week get up and go, let me send the update to them, you can schedule it so that it automatically gets sent to them. Now, of course, you could always give them view permissions, and so they wouldn't even have to get anything to send. But in some cases, you may want to share it by email. You can export to Excel, PDF, and that sort of thing. So there's different ways to deal with it. So that is ways to share it by sending it with export. You can, now let's work inside the sheet itself. And so we're still in this collaborative workspace, and we're working inside the sheet. So I can come over here, and let's say I'm looking at this row 6, this power sensor. Let's say I've got a question about it. I could either, maybe Sarah is asking for an update. I could send her this row, and I can, so again, Sarah is not a real person. She's not going to come up. But if I had her email address, I would get that. And then so she would see what's going on. She wouldn't have access to the sheet. She would only see this particular row, right? So that's very secure. Or maybe I want to know, Lori has not approved this yet, and maybe I need to get an update from her, and I don't want her to send her the whole sheet. I just want to let her interact with it from that. I could send it to Lori, and instead of the generic, please update my sheet online, I could say, can you approve this? And then I could send it to her. So you can see the benefit of this is you don't have to go out of the system, copy, paste, send an email, make a phone call. You can do whatever you want. And as I'm here working from home in the time of COVID, my doorbell is about to ring because a package has just been delivered. But I'm going to keep going. And the dog is going to bark in the background. So in the old days, everybody would call that unprofessional, but these days, everybody understands. So that's working in the sheet and sending things. The other thing that's beautiful about a Smartsheet is things that make you not have to exit the sheet is, let's say I had a particular spec with, let's go back to this power bird sensor. Maybe I wanted to attach the instruction manual. I could drag and drop that here, or I could take it from my computer. I'm just going to make something up. I don't have the the manual for that, but you can see now I've attached a document to this row. And so anybody interacting with this sheet, they don't have to call me to say, hey, where's that owner's manual, or where's that purchase order? They can simply come in here and download it. The other thing that you can do inside the sheet is you can do some in-app collaboration. And so I can have a conversation here. And I did this in the other demo where this use case, the way we use this is a field engineer asks to buy something, and then the purchasing department looks at it, reviews it, and if it needs manager approval, they submit it to the manager for approval. In this one, our scenario was that this SK 4500 was well above the standard pricing authority, and so I had to send it to myself because I'm playing both roles here. Let me check for my budget. And I can say, okay, thanks, we need an answer by Thursday. And then I could say, disregard, found one in your office, and they are going to share. So I could do that and have the conversation right there. If I put an @ comment on it, then Kirby Hicks in my organization is gonna, we'll see that in the conversation, but he'll also get a ping alert. So you can see that you can keep working inside the sheet, which is very beneficial. The next things you can do is it's very easy to see what's happened. So have you ever had a large spreadsheet of some kind, hundreds of rows? And actually, let's make changes, not in the last hour. Let's look at the changes that were made today. Okay, that makes, so you've got hundreds of rows and columns. You go, gosh, I know something's different, but what is different? This tool here allows you to specify, I want to see changes in a certain period, and then they're highlighted. And you can choose the color that you want to highlight in. I'm going to stay at yellow. And then that helps us also look at the audit history that you get. If I right click, I can look at view cell history. Where am I? Where am I? Oh, I'm on a row. I need to be in a cell. Hold on. View cell history. And I can see that it was blank. And then I added something. And I want to show you one that was more interesting. That's not an interesting one, but it'll track every single change that was made. And so you don't have to question, well, who changed what? When did this happen? And you'll notice, you'll see that each of those were time date stamped. So you can see who made the change, when they made it, and what the value change was. So that eliminates hundreds. You know, you don't have to call and go, hey, Frank, what happened to, I thought that the status of this was in progress. What's going on? You can see when changed. The next thing that's very helpful is conditional formatting. So to help you navigate a big sheet, you can use conditional formatting. In this case, we chose a couple things. You can see all the rules here, but they're very easy. So once something's closed, we wanted to make the entire row green. It says, hey, it's cool, you can ignore it. But if something was flagged as urgent, then I wanted to make the lettering be red to get my eye in on that. And the nice thing is that you, if you own the sheet, you can do this yourself. You can add any new rule, and you don't need IT, you don't need to put in a request, you don't need a coder to do it. So that, you know, it's very, very powerful. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to show you on the sheet are the automations. And so you can do things like you can alert somebody. So I've got an alert that says whenever a row is added, then I get a notice. So if I'm working with 3 people on the sheet, somebody adds a row, it'll tell me that that happened. The other thing I can do is I can do an automation that has a reminder. And so maybe I want a reminder on the, you know, at the end of the month to pop up and show me something. Or whenever a due date approaches a particular date, I want a reminder sent to me. And then the final thing that really is powerful is you can create a workflow. And again, the YouTube video of this use case, I show you how to build one and how to build a dashboard. But it's very easy to create a workflow. You can come in here and select a particular workflow. So you can see that there's a drop-down list of workflows that you can do. As well as you can send like an alert to Slack or to Microsoft Teams, that sort of thing. But a very basic workflow, I'll show you, the one that I built here was when on this workflow, when something needed manager approval, the buyer would set the status to approval request submitted, and that would automatically send a notification to the manager that they need to make an approval. So automation is very easy. So those are my kind of favorite functionalities of Smartsheet itself. Beyond that, then we have the ability to do reports and dashboards. and I'm going to open up a request here. So the beauty of a request, of a report rather, is that this is a two-way communication. So if I'm working on the sheet, maybe I'm just like, oh, I hate misspellings, so I'm gonna change this to actually spell meter correctly. So I fixed that, and maybe I know that it started, so I can come in here and I can say that it's in progress, and I can start that. Or you know what? I know that it's finished, so I'm going to call this and make it closed. Now, a report is very easy to build. I, as the owner of this sheet, can do it. As a user of this sheet, I can do it, and I just create it. I say, where do I want to look? I can do filtering by who, and I can show what. So on this, I'm only showing those items that are in progress, not started, or blank. Anything that is completed is off of this report because this is only open requests. And the other thing I did is I put the urgent issues up to the top. So there's a couple things here. One, see that this is closed. So when I refresh, this is going to drop off of the report. And if I were to make, let's make this birds, now let's make this Vibramax 5000D urgent. So let me save. And now let me refresh. So you'll see a couple things. One is the multimeter jumped, the bird jumped up to the top because it was now urgent. And the thing that was closed was dropped off of this report. Okay, final thing is dashboard. So operationally, if you want to see everything that's going on, it's very easy to create a dashboard. There are widgets, so you can add widgets, and things like graphs are very easy. If we come in here, we can make a chart. We can choose the various chart types and change between views and that sort of thing. And all of this is linked and live. And so here is my report. So I don't even have to go to the report. I can come to my dashboard and I can see, oops, I'm in edit mode still. Let me cancel and discard my changes. So when I interact with this dashboard, I can go through a report. I can quickly jump to the tracker sheet, or I can jump to another asset. So here, for example, I've attached a training video. So if I click here, this is linked to my OneDrive for business. And here are some instructions on how to import a Microsoft project sheet into Smartsheet. So that concludes what we were going to show from the standpoint of a live demonstration. The last thing I want to leave you with is that this integrates with the leading cloud apps. So I showed you an integration with OneDrive, and I showed you the ability to integrate with Slack and with Microsoft Teams. We do a lot of stuff with Power BI as well. And so where do you go from here? So if you want to get started, a couple things. You can schedule a free analysis session with me. Contact me if you just want to chat. Send me an email if you want a free trial. And if you want to see more, you can go to the Confoe YouTube channel and see more. And again, I will post this to the channel after this. And now I'm going to go ahead and